When we speak of the Trojan War, we speak of men. We speak of the rage of Achilles, the cunning of Odysseus, the beauty of Paris. We sing of glory, that untranslatable Greek concept of kleos, immortal fame won at the point of a spear. But for every hero who gained immortality on the plains of Troy, there was a victim who gained only silence. History, and even mythology, is written by the victors, and the victors of Troy were men who burned a civilization to the ground. But what happened when the fires went out? What happened when the 1,000 ships turned their prows back toward Greece? They did not return empty. They were heavy with gold, with bronze, and with women. For 10 years, the women of Troy stood on the high walls. They watched their husbands, fathers, and sons die one by one in the dust below. And when the wooden horse finally cracked open the belly of the city, their war did not end. It merely changed shape. Today, we are going to look away from the heroes. We are going to sit in the ashes with the captives. We are going to trace the terrifying fate of the Trojan women, from the queens to the commoners who were dragged from the burning wreckage of their home to serve the men who destroyed it. This is not a story of glory. This is the story of the aftermath. To understand their fate, we must enter the moment of the fall. It is night. The city of Troy, impregnable for a decade, is sleeping in a drunken stupor. They believe the Greeks have fled. The massive wooden horse stands in the citadel as an offering to Athena. Then the silence breaks, not with a battle cry, but with the sound of doors splintering. For the women of Troy, the sack was a sensory apocalypse, the smell of burning cedar and flesh, the sound of metal on stone, the screams of children. In the ancient world, the fall of a city was a specific codified horror. The men were to be eliminated. The boys were often thrown from the walls to ensure no avengers would grow up. But the women, they were the living spoil. Imagine being Hecuba, the queen of Troy, a woman who had birthed 19 sons and 12 daughters. In one single night, she watches her husband, the aged King Priam, cut down at the altar of the gods. She watches her sons fall. She is dragged from the throne room, her royal robes torn, her hair covered in the gray ash of her burning palace. She is no longer a queen. She is a prize. She is marched to the beach where the Greek ships are waiting. And there, under the cold light of the dawn, the lottery begins. The distribution of women after the Trojan War is one of the most chilling scenes in Greek mythology. It was not random. It was a cold calculation of value. The Greek leaders, Agamemnon, Odysseus, Neoptolemus, gathered to divide the spoils. The women were herded in pens like cattle. They waited, trembling, to see which murderer would become their master. Consider the psychological horror of this moment. You are not just being enslaved, you are being given to the specific man who killed your husband. You are expected to serve him, to cook his food, to warm his bed, and to bear his children. Andromache, the wife of Hector, the greatest hero of Troy, she was the model of the perfect wife and mother. Her fate was the cruelest of all. She was given to Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles. Achilles killed her husband. Neoptolemus killed her father-in-law. And in the most horrific act of the war, the Greeks seized her infant son Astyanax and threw him from the walls of Troy to his end, fearing he would grow up to be a king.
And after this, after watching her child's life extinguished, Andromache was forced onto the ship of the man who ordered it. She was taken to Greece to be his concubine, to bear the children of the bloodline that erased her own. This is a level of psychological torture that transcends simple captivity. It is the dismantling of the soul. Then there was Cassandra, the daughter of the king, the woman cursed by Apollo to see the future but never be believed. She saw the fire coming. She saw the horse. She screamed warnings that no one listened to. When the city fell, she sought sanctuary in the temple of Athena, clinging to the statue of the goddess. It didn't save her. Ajax the Lesser dragged her from the altar. The sacrilege was so great that even the Greeks were horrified, not because of the woman, but because he offended the goddess. Cassandra was the prize of the High King Agamemnon. Imagine her journey. She is a princess, a priestess, and a seer. She is dragged onto Agamemnon's flagship. She knows exactly where she is going. She sees her own end. She knows that Agamemnon's wife, Clytemnestra, is waiting in Mycenae with an axe. She spends the entire voyage across the Aegean Sea, staring at the horizon, knowing she is sailing toward her own execution. For her, death was likely a mercy compared to the madness of her visions. But not all women made it to the ships. Some were demanded by the dead. Polyxena was the youngest daughter of the royal family. She was known for her beauty. After the battle, the ghost of Achilles, or perhaps just the bloodlust of his army, demanded a share of the spoil. The Greeks believed that the winds would not blow them home unless the dead hero was appeased. And so Polyxena was dragged to the tomb of Achilles. This wasn't a hidden act, it was a spectacle. The entire Greek army gathered to watch. The young princess was held over the grave. Euripides, the playwright, describes her final moments with heartbreaking dignity. She refused to be held down. She tore her own robe to expose her throat and told the executioner to strike. She chose to die free rather than live as a slave. Her blood soaked into the foreign soil, a final offering to the vanity of men. She was one of the lucky ones. She never had to see Greece. She never had to wear the yoke. The journey across the Aegean Sea is beautiful. The water is deep blue. The islands are green jewels. But for the Trojan women, this was the river Styx. They were packed into the hollow hulls of the black ships. These were not passenger vessels. They were ships of war, smelling of sweat, old blood, and unwashed men. The women sat in the dark. They could hear the laughter of the victors on the deck above. They could see the trophies piled high, the armor of their dead brothers, the gold cups from their father's table. They were in a state of social death. In Troy, they were defined by their relationships: wife of Hector, daughter of Priam, mother of Astyanax. On the ship, those titles vanished. They were now simply the captive, the Trojan girl. Identity was stripped away, layer by layer. And they were not alone in their misery. The ordinary women, the weavers, the bakers, the farmers' wives, were there too, thousands of them. Their names were not recorded by Homer. They were distributed among the common soldiers. Their fate was to become anonymous servants in small villages across Greece, to work the loom until their fingers bled, to raise children who would be mocked as bastards of Troy.
What happened when the ships landed? For Andromache, life became a twisted mockery of domesticity. She lived in Epirus. She bore 3 sons to Neoptolemus. Imagine looking into the face of your child and seeing the eyes of the man who murdered your firstborn. Imagine loving that child because he is yours, but hating the blood that runs in his veins. This was the double consciousness of the captive. You must survive, you must eat, you must raise your children, but to do so, you must make peace with the monster in your house. Eventually, Neoptolemus was eliminated. Violence begets violence. Andromache was passed on again, married to a fellow Trojan captive, Helenus. In her old age, she founded a new city, a miniature Troy. It is a tragic image, a city built of memory. She tried to recreate the gates, the tower, the river of her lost home, But it was a ghost town, a stage set built by a woman who could never really go home because home was ash. And Hecuba, the queen, her fate is the darkest of all. Myth says that sorrow drove her mad. On the journey to Greece, she discovered the body of her youngest son, Polydorus, washed up on the shore. He had been sent away for safety, only to be betrayed and ended for gold by a friend of the family. The discovery broke her. The majestic queen transformed. She used her remaining time to orchestrate a brutal revenge on the man who killed her boy, blinding him and ending his children. The myths say the gods, pitying her, or perhaps horrified by her howling grief, transformed her into a dog. She threw herself into the sea. This metaphor is powerful. The war dehumanized her so completely that she ceased to be a woman. She became a creature of pure pain, howling at the waves. And we must address Helen, the face that launched the ships. Was she a captive or a traitor? When Troy fell, Menelaus, her Greek husband, intended to end her. He marched through the burning city to find her. But when he found her huddled by the altar, she bared her breast and his sword dropped. The injustice is staggering. The Trojan women, who did nothing but defend their homes, were dragged into slavery. Helen, whose flight caused the war, was returned to Sparta. She went back to her palace. She sat on her throne. She poured wine for her husband. In the Odyssey, we see her years later. She is drugging the wine of her guests to make them forget their sadness. She is beautiful, wealthy, and composed, but she is hated. The Trojan women in the ships cursed her name. She lived in a golden cage of guilt, knowing that every time she looked at the sea, she was looking at the graveyard of a civilization she helped destroy. We know these stories largely because of one man, Euripides. Hundreds of years after the war, this Greek playwright wrote The Trojan Women. It is an anti-war play, but uniquely, it focuses entirely on the victims. He forces the Greek audience, the descendants of the victors, to look at the stage and see the suffering. He gives Hecuba a voice. He lets Andromache speak her pain. He shows that the glory of Greece was built on the misery of women. "You Greeks," Hecuba cries in the play, "you are so proud of your spears, but you are afraid of a child," referring to the murder of her grandson. It is a testament to the fact that even the conquerors knew deep down that what they did was a crime against humanity. The Trojan War ended the Bronze Age, but it also ended a bloodline. The women who were taken to Greece were assimilated. Their Trojan identity was diluted and finally washed away. Their children became Greeks. Within 2 generations, no one spoke the language of Troy. No one worshipped at the altars of Priam. The captivity was not just physical, it was an act of cultural genocide. The women were the vessels used to breathe the memory of Troy out of existence. If you go to Turkey today, to the hill of Hisarlik, you can see the ruins of Troy. There are layers of cities, one on top of another, but you will not find the graves of the Trojan women there. Their bones lie in Greece, in Epirus, in Mycenae, in Sparta. They lie in the soil of the enemy. The story of the Trojan women is not just a myth, it is the story of every war that has ever been fought. When the cameras turn off, when the treaties are signed, when the heroes go home, the women are left in the silence. They are the collateral damage of glory. They teach us that the difference between a queen and a slave is often just one bad day, one breached wall, one wooden horse. When we read the Iliad, let us admire the poetry, but let us never forget the screaming that happened after the final verse, because while Achilles got the glory, the women got the burden of memory, and that burden is heavier than any shield.